Here is lesson 8 for snare drum. We will play numbers 23 and 24. Alright, you'll notice at the top of the page, because you've already looked through all that before we start, that, actually I want to move this over a little bit so we can see a little bit better. You've noticed that there are lots of new things to learn. First one is the multiple bounce stroke. That I sometimes call a buzz roll. Okay? The multiple bounce stroke is when you strike the drum and you keep a little bit of pressure with your finger to not let it bounce up all the way back and just let the bounce die. So it goes like this. Okay? And that works with both hands. You can see my left hand's not as strong as doing it, so I need to practice that more. That's how the buzz roll works. Here's why we do the buzz roll, the multiple bounce. Because if you do them together, you get what's called a roll. Okay, that's why we do that. Alright, now for these lessons, I am going to play this with a practice pad, so it's going to sound a lot more like your drum as you work on it. Alright, as I said, we are doing numbers 23 and 24. You should have already looked through it. So let's do it. Okay? Oh, sorry, there's one more thing. There's also a repeat sign at the end. So what does that mean? That means we're going to go back to the beginning. Okay? Here we go, 23. And don't forget your buzz. Now remember, on a practice pad, see, it's multiple bouncing. You just don't hear it as well. Okay? So that's how the multiple bounce stroke works. Here we go, 23. 1, 2, ready, and. And repeat. Okay, so you'll notice if you're playing it on just a practice pad like this, you know, something that has a lot of cushion and doesn't really bounce very well, you will hear the buzz rolls just sound kind of muddy. Because if you do just regular notes, it's very, very clear. But with the bounce, there's a little bit more to the notes, and it's a little bit harder to hear them. So that's why you have to make sure that you do it very, very clear. Now, if you have a practice pad like this, it'll be a little bit clearer. So it's a little bit clearer on that. Just depends on what kind of practice pad you have. If you have the HQ, like the ones that I like, you can still hear it, it's just, you know, not as clear. That's how they play on the snare drum during class. Alright, before we get to number 24, let's talk about our code word. For lesson 8, we have no code. Okay? Now moving on to 24, we have another new symbol. 2 new symbols, I'm sorry. We have the C at the very beginning, which stands for common time. Basically, it's another way of writing 4/4. 4 beats per measure, quarter note gets the beat, we already know that. Also, look at the very, very end. You'll see there's a semicircle with a dot on it. Okay, that's called a fermata. That means you'll hold the note longer than usual. Now for us, it's a rest. So we just finish our last note on beat 1, and then the whole band will hold out because it's a fermata, and then the director will cut us off. Okay, let's play number 24. And 1, 2, ready, and. Alright, did you get your buzz rolls? Okay. I'm going to demonstrate it one more time because I want to make sure that we know how this works for the buzz roll. For the multiple bounce stroke. You're going to hit, and then you're going to let the drumstick bounce up, but you're going to give it a little bit of pressure so it doesn't bounce all the way up. Because if we just let it bounce, that's not what we need. We need a little bit more control. Okay? Practice that until you feel comfortable with it. It should sound kind of like a woodpecker if you've heard those. Sorry, I have to hold this drum head because it makes a little bit too much sound. There's a little bit of ring. It rings too much. Alright, so that's the multiple bounce. Okay? Again, the reason that we do the multiple bounce is because it helps us make a sustained roll. Okay? And that we'll be experimenting with during class. That was lesson 8. Thank you for joining me.